Each year at the end of spring, before extreme heat makes the place unbearable, tourists flock to the heavenly mountains in China's Xinjiang region. There's nothing more chic than a selfie by Tian Shan Lake with its snowy peaks, or a ride in a military vehicle in the red sandstone canyons, in these sumptuous settings where Silk Road caravans once traveled. But once back on the bus, smartphones and cameras must be turned off. Local authorities praise mass tourism, but exert complete control over these Chinese visitors, their memories, and their potential publications. That's because in recent years, other images of Xinjiang have emerged. They have revealed a very different reality: internment camps and prisoner convoys. Survivors from these camps have reported torture, rape, and forced sterilization. The government's target? Uyghurs, the inhabitants of Xinjiang, a Muslim-majority population.
Zincirlerde bağlayıp işte binazı tuskalanmaslıkınız, Aşkarabat'ta bağlak halatda 7 ay 10 gün aşında bir insan kalıbından çıkan hayvanlardan mı beter aldı horluk.
Free Uyghurs! Free Uyghurs! Stop Uyghur genocide!
Disappearances, arrests, summary judgments. Millions of people fear for their lives and the lives of their families. Political leaders no longer shy away from calling these abuses genocide.
1 million Uyghurs, as you pointed out, Muslims, are in concentration camps. That's what they are right now. They're being abused, they're in concentration camps.
Why have Chinese leaders decided to persecute this region's population?
They're trying to wipe out Uyghurs' identity, language, culture, history, religion. The Chinese government have made themselves pretty clear through their own actions. Their ultimate goal is to wipe out an entire ethnicity.
To better understand the tragedy taking place in Xinjiang, we probed into the action plan rolled out by the Chinese Communist Party, designed to wipe out this ethnic minority.
Ce qui se passe, qu'on le qualifie de crime contre l'humanité ou de génocide, a peu d'importance. Ce qui se passe est tellement grave que la communauté internationale n'a pas le droit de se taire. Parce que le complice des bourreaux, c'est toujours le silence.
The Uyghurs' territory is Xinjiang, China's westernmost region. A little over 2,500 kilometers separate Beijing, the political heart of the People's Republic of China, from Urumqi, the capital of Xinjiang, the biggest region in China. 3 times the size of France, Xinjiang forms a border between China and 8 countries, including 2 large Muslim countries, Pakistan and Afghanistan. Rich in natural resources, this region is vital to China's economic and industrial growth. Sparsely populated, Xinjiang is home to several ethnic minorities: Kazakhs, Hui, Kyrgyz, Mongols, Tajiks, Uzbeks, and notably 11 million Uyghurs, considered to be the region's indigenous people. These Turkic-speaking people have been settled here for centuries and have never felt themselves to be Chinese.
The Uyghurs have much more in common with the peoples of Central Asia than they do with the Han Chinese people. Culturally, historically, linguistically, they share a lot of commonalities with the people of former Soviet Central Asia, the Uzbeks, the Kazakhs, and so on. In fact, many of those people also inhabit the Uyghur region of China.
Demographically, the Chinese nation is divided into 56 ethnic groups, quite an unbalanced mosaic. In fact, China is a country that is cut in 2. The eastern part is where most Han Chinese live, concentrated in major urban centers. They make up 92% of China's population. To the west and north, there are vast regions that are home to many ethnic groups. Among them, Tibetans, Mongols, Uyghurs, and other Turkic speakers. 60% of China's natural resources are located in these territories inhabited by ethnic minorities. There are now almost as many Han Chinese in Xinjiang as there are Uyghurs. This is the result of migration organized by the Chinese Communist Party since 1949. It has sped up significantly since President Xi Jinping came to power. The Uyghurs condemn the Han colonization of their territory and have been fighting for decades to preserve their identity, religion, and culture.
因为中华人民共和国宪法确定中国是一个多民族的国家。那么，但是习近平今天显然他想打造一个单一民族，就中华民族。而这个中华民族当然就是以汉族为主体的，那么以汉族为霸权来消化其他的民族。
To better assimilate the Uyghurs, the Chinese Communist Party decided to betray its own constitution and attack the bedrock of Uyghur culture and identity, Islam. In Xinjiang, going to the mosque, having a beard, wearing a hijab, or keeping a Quran at home can lead to arrest and sometimes prison. In China, people may only worship the Chinese Communist Party, particularly in Xinjiang, where social stability is absolutely vital to the government. The region is essential to the country's growth. Its land contains 1/3 of China's coal, oil, and gas reserves. Xinjiang also produces 20% of the world's cotton. And that's not all. In 2013, the Chinese president launched his colossal project, the Belt and Road Initiative. This includes a new 10,000-kilometer rail and road network connecting China to Europe through Central Asia. In China, Xinjiang is the main crossing point for these new trade routes.
这是一项造福沿途各国人民的大事。
So pragmatic Chinese leaders decided to work to secure the region in order to better exploit its resources, even if it meant sacrificing the people.
他现在依靠他的一带一路，那么现在一带一路第一个门槛就是新疆。他如果在门槛上就已经被绊脚，就已经走不出去的话了，他的一带一路也就全部毁掉。那么所以对习近平来说，这是要他命的事情。那么所以习近平当然会要保证新疆这块地方了，那么就会安定、安全。 那么让他的一带一路呢，可以从新疆呢可以走出去。那么所以这就是为什么你可以看到习近平呢，他会花这么多的方法，那么会让新疆人呢就要把他们给控制住。那所以你就可以明白，对就是习近平来说，他的感觉到的威胁不仅仅是对他的治疆的政策的威胁，那么是对他整个全盘的他掌控的中国经济生存的威胁。
Of course, the Chinese leader's dream isn't shared by the Uyghurs. They have always resisted what they see as an occupation by the Han. Over the years, there have been violent clashes between the two ethnic groups. Some Uyghurs have decided to radicalize their struggle, attacking Han Chinese in other regions. On October the 28th, 2013, there was a suicide attack in the Chinese capital's Tiananmen Square. A car with Xinjiang plates deliberately drove into the crowd, killing 2 people and wounding 40 before exploding. A few months later, on March the 1st, 2014, Kunming Station in Yunnan province was attacked. 6 men and 2 women, described by official media as Uyghur terrorists, stabbed 31 people to death. Members of the National People's Congress observed a minute's silence in homage to the Kunming victims. Xi Jinping declared war on the 3 scourges poisoning China: separatism, extremism, and terrorism. The Uyghurs must become loyal to the Chinese Communist Party or else disappear. Xi Jinping's retaliation was swift. 1 month after the Kunming attack, he went to Xinjiang, the region he says is the front line of terrorism. Visiting a Kashgar police station in southern Xinjiang, he encouraged his troops to strike the regime's enemies hard in the fight against terrorism.
希望你们在这个今后的为民服务社会治安维稳各项任务中再做出优异的成绩。基层的派出所，这是我们的拳头和尖刀我们一定要把基层派出所抓好。
On the last day of the Chinese president's visit, a knife and bomb attack killed 3 and wounded 79 in Xinjiang's capital, Urumqi. Chinese leaders retaliated using the weapon they wield best: fear. It was no longer good to be a Uyghur in Xinjiang. Beijing turned the region into a police state, launching a campaign of repression against the Uyghurs. But no one knew what was happening there. The region became almost inaccessible to foreigners. Neither diplomats nor human rights activists could go there freely. Since 2014, the communist regime has imposed absolute secrecy regarding their actions against the Uyghurs. Xinjiang became an information black hole. Except within the Uyghur diaspora, particularly in the US, where rumors began to circulate, China had allegedly opened huge re-education camps in Xinjiang, in which thousands of Uyghurs would be interned.
This is Radio Free Asia from Washington, D.C.
One day in March 2017, a Uyghur journalist exiled in Washington managed to shed some light on the matter. Shoret Oshur left Xinjiang for the US almost 30 years ago. Despite the distance, he remains one of the best informed people about the fate of his compatriots. In Washington, he hosts Uyghur content on Radio Free Asia, a pro-democratic station funded by the US Congress, destined for Asian peoples oppressed by an authoritarian regime.
Ben bu 2017-de 3-nji ayga kelgen çagda 2017-de 3-nji ayda bütün şu chet eldik Uyg'urlarning arasida bir qism ailelarniki a'zolarining asosandigidek tutilib ketganligi, ba'zilarining bir qismini tutilganligi, ba'zi mahallalarningki butunlay tutilib ketganligi, ba'zilarining shaharlar bo'yicha tutilib ketganligi haqida uchraldim. Bunlar hammasida asosan odam qamidi degan gap bor, ammo meni ishongim kam edi. Kamay bundan bo'lamdi dedim, ammo shuni oldimda telefon qilib, Qashqar, Xotan, Aqsuliga telefon qilsam.
In Xinjiang, Uyghurs who receive international phone calls are immediately arrested. So to contact them, Shoret disguised his voice and the origin of his calls.
Mening bu savolni palaliqqa o'tirib qo'ydim. U yoqda kim tutildi, o'ng qo'shnining kimi, so'l qo'shnining kimi dedim. Hammasi o'ng so'l qo'shnisidan tutilganim yo'q demadi. Birisi va ikkinchisi va dedi. Mushdan qaragan chaqda umumiylik tutilganligini bildim. Onun keyinden anda men yeziga telefon qildim, yeziq hukumat telefon qildim. Hukumat 41 odam tutish haqida vazifamiz bor dedi. Shundan qarab umumiylik tutish buyruq var ekan dedim.
One day, he managed to talk to an official in southern Xinjiang.
Shunda bo'lganda bu viloyat va tarbiyalanayotganlarning soni qanchasicha?
For the very first time, a Chinese official had confirmed mass incarceration in Xinjiang. Shoret Oshur's revelations triggered the wrath of the Chinese authorities. In retaliation, they targeted his family members still in Xinjiang. One of his brothers disappeared. Another got 5 years of forced labor.
Ularning tahdidi tugimedi. Hozirga qadar bo'layotgan ziyolining hammasi ular deydi, sen Muş hizmetine toxtasan, sizin ailenge avarçılık tügü toxtaydı deydi. Ama ben işinimen ki, bu bizden milletden təqdiri bilen, benim ailemden təqdiri oxşaş. Benim ailem, fakat bizden milletden təqdiri onşalığın çağda onşuldu.
Shorit Oshur's scoop was just the start of a series of damning revelations for the Chinese government. For his safety, our meeting with German researcher Adrian Zenz was held in a discreet location in the US Midwest. The discoveries made by this anthropologist, an expert on social policies, have made him the bane of the Chinese superpower. For months, Zenz unearthed signs of these mass internments in thousands of pages of official documents available on the internet.
Das Problem ist, dass man in Xinjiang selber keine Feldforschung machen kann. Meine Methodik besteht hier drin, chinesische Regierungsdaten und Statistiken zu suchen und zu finden. Nicht nur unterschiedliche Arten von Regierungsdokumenten, wie zum Beispiel Budgets oder Stellenausschreibungen oder Reportagen oder Reporte und so weiter Berichte. Was ich dann tue, ist eine Art Detektivarbeit oder eine Art Puzzlearbeit.
In scouring official documents, Zenz found calls for tenders for the construction of what Chinese authorities call professional training centers. But the required equipment caught the researchers' attention.
Das wichtigste und, ich sag mal so, krasseste Beweismaterial für die Umerziehungslager waren diese Projektausschreibungen, wo doch schwarz auf weiß stand, wir brauchen eine gesicherte Anlage für die Umerziehung. Und die muss ein lückenloses Kamerasystem haben. Es muss eine hohe Mauer ganz drumherum geben, mit Stacheldraht. Wir brauchen Wachtürme, wir brauchen eine spezielle Polizeistation mit bewaffneter Polizei auf diesem Gelände. Also diese Details zur Sicherheit und zur Überwachung, das war wirklich einmalig. Und das war natürlich auch unglaublich, das zu sehen, dass die Regierung das so offen darstellt.
When he analysed the data he found in 2017, Adrian Zenz estimated that dozens of camps were being built, mainly in rural areas in southern Xinjiang. By his calculations, up to 1 million people could be interned there. Satellite photos reveal the proliferation of camps. Here in Kashgar, this vast detention centre reportedly has the capacity to accommodate 10,000 detainees. By the summer of 2018, thanks to this series of revelations, no one could be left unaware of the terrible human rights violations in Xinjiang. There was no doubt that the camps existed. At the United Nations, some were determined to ask China to account for them. A Chinese delegation was expected at the UN's European headquarters to present the measures China planned to put in place to fight racial discrimination.
所谓上百万维族人被拘押在这教育中心的观点说法，完全不符合事实。新疆坚持依法打击恐怖主义、极端主义、分裂主义，反对把反恐怖、反极端、反分裂与特定的民族宗教挂钩。
The Chinese delegation denied the existence of re-education camps, but admitted to opening professional training centres with the intention of fighting extremism through education and work. The Chinese authorities opposed what they called unbearable meddling in its internal affairs and manipulation by the enemies of the People's Republic. In Xinjiang, a few foreign reporters outsmarted police surveillance and managed to sneak some footage. Fortified enclosures with barbed wire and watchtowers, surveillance cameras. These images corroborated what Adrian Zenz had uncovered in official documents. New satellite images showed the proliferation of camps throughout the region. In 2020, Australian researchers identified 380 new ones. According to Adrian Zenz, there may be 1,300 to 1,400 of them in total. During construction, guards and site workers posted a few images from inside these buildings that the Chinese call professional training centers. Some of these videos escaped the notice of Chinese censors. They don't show classrooms, but rather cells and torture chambers.
Hazır mən görüb, mən onu yürgüm yürgüm soğup ketib bardı hazır. Qattiq jazalığa vaqtida qilgan narsa bu. Aşı sen iqra qil, boynunga al, deb turib aşı eng vahshiy usulda qiynaydigan vaqtida mana shunday bog'lab, isib qo'yib, odamni ish qilib, chidiqsiz darajada azoblaydi mana shunday holatda. Aşı yog'och kaltak, tok kaltak, rezinka kaltak, aşı urgan vaqtida chidamay qolasiz. Dada, apa, bunu qutulduringlar deb qattiq to'lab ketasiz buni bunday qiynagan vaqtida.
For Omia, the torture lasted 7 months and 10 days. Before his arrest, like many Uyghurs, he lived and worked in neighboring Kazakhstan. In spring 2017, he went to Xinjiang to attend a trade fair. There, he was arrested and interned in a camp. The authorities accused him of having separatist ideas. Now a refugee in the Netherlands, he's reunited with his family, but hasn't forgotten anything of what he went through.
Saat 6:20'da şu tamga qarab bayroq chiqarishga majburmiz. Uyga kirgan insonlarning hammasiga shu ayni vaqtda Amerikaliklarniki Guantanamo qamagan insonlar kiyimiga o'xshash mandarin kiyimi kiydiriladi. Hammamizga o'xshash zanjirlarda bog'lanib qizil naqshlarni erishga majbur bo'lamiz. Tamaq yani eng azida bir yo'miz 2dan shu qizil naqshni yetmaysa tamaq berilmaydi. Ular meni davlat shariatlar, naqshlar qizil naqshlarni o'qishga majburlanganda rad qilganligim uchun men uning ichida 4 xil jazo o'chirdim. Birinchisi sizni shu rezinkaltakdan urib 2 soatcha urgandan keyin tam devorga qarab 24 soat turasiz. Suv, tamaq ishdan berilmaydi. Ikkinchi jazo sizni yo'lbos o'rindiqqa bog'lab tashlaydi. Ya'ni urib hargandan keyin badalaringizni boshlamay datgacha urgandan keyin olib yo'lbos o'rindiqqa bog'lab tashlanasiz. Umuman 24 soat suv, yemek ishdan berilmaydi. Bularni o'shirdim. Uchinchi jazo bu shu bayam degandek 3 kvadratlik zindonga uyiga solonni siz tayoqni yeb bo'lgandan keyin tamaq ishlami yo'q. Bu yerda suv ishlami yo'q. O'sha betondan yaratasiz. To'rtinchi jazo so'qoqda shu qorda shu yalang'och ko'sar bilan shu turishga majbur bo'lasiz 24 soat. Titramsiz, to'nglamsiz, nima bo'lsangiz bo'ling. Siz yozgi kuni bo'lib qolsa, shu yalang'och shu aptap, pijg'im aptapda turishga majbur bo'lasiz. Bizga onun için ekranlab shu kallangizda sizniki milliyligingizni yo'qotish uchun, diniy e'tiqodingizni askashtirish uchun bütün sizni ruhiy besimla azoblaydi, ochliqdan azoblaydi, xo'rlaydi.
Omia owes his salvation to diplomats in Kazakhstan, where he had become a citizen. The torture and humiliations he describes are the definition of brainwashing, a term and method invented in China in the 1950s. After the Tiananmen Square massacre in 1989, a former executive decided to leave the party and take refuge in the US, where he now teaches political science. Xia Ming says Chinese leaders methodically use an old communist technique in Xinjiang.
洗脑，从中文，应该说从上海话来的，经常说就是打打脑子，就是洗洗脑。那么，所以他就是对你进行那个强制的这个就是用往往是配以饥饿手段。那么他因为就是说饥饿可以摧毁一个人的意志，那么所以呢这个洗脑过程呢，你可以发现呢，就中国共产党呢一直贯穿在他的统治的这个始终。那么所以这一个是让中国人呢一方面恐惧，所以呢也能够服从。
Hunger isn't the only weapon camp guards use to subjugate the population.
Bir qarimni kelib molloka deb işte dedem ras molun bilmaymiz bu kimligini biz bilmaydi bir adam chiqib falan masjidning imomi deb akeldi. Bundan keyin din qishanmanglar. Kommunist partiyadan boshqa xudo yo'q. Andaq Xi Jinping birdan bir kommunist partiya sizlarni yordam.
Tursunay Ziavuddin posed no threat. However, Chinese authorities disapproved of her too frequent trips to Kazakhstan and saw her faith in Islam as excessive. She was subjected to 11 months of re-education. When she got there, the guards shaved her head and made her wear a uniform. She knew from the beginning that she'd go through hell.
Şundan yenimde yana bir kız var. Aşağıda bilip çıktı. Onu ikimizden aşağı odatdagidek aşağıdaylık oturdu. Mağdağı sakçılar nime bir kostum bulup kiygen bir ko'k kostum var, qora kostum aşağı kiyip mağda dayım. Çıkıp kostum bulup kiygen eniq bilmey, ko'zdi qora ko'zoynak maska tatib olgan. Ko'zoynakni evetdi, maskani olmadi da. Lekin eniq ko'ngli bo'lmaydi odamni. Keyin alıp forma kiygen birisi kirdi. Bir o'tağız bilqi. Eniq kirib o chiqdi dedi, kiyiming shashlabchi menga. Undaq qildi, undaq deydigan narsa nemish qilgandi men yana urdigandimi deb o'ylabdim menda. Bir vaqt men nemishga debchi yanliqmi, yana shunda qilsam o'zimda bir nima bor deb men ashtalam qo'ydim ash. Kelgan pit ash kaçatqı keltib biriniz aldı da zıtıplıverdi kiyimini orada qarshi qilish nimam qilmadi. Evet, ergin chiqiribdi. Uru atida tamg'i suzdirib askilaqmi qildi, keyin yeliq kirdi. Oshiq tutib berdi qo'limni. Biroq ashada hoshimni ketib shiqilg'ich nima qilganini bilmayman 3 yil. Ay.
Thanks to her Kazakh husband, Tursunay was released, but she remains severely affected. Before leaving the camp, she had to promise she'd never speak of what happened. But there are also brave citizens in China who disapprove of the torment the party is subjecting Uyghurs to. In autumn 2019, when Xinjiang was still cut off by Chinese censorship, an anonymous source sent the New York Times vital information. Over 400 pages of internal Chinese Communist Party documents. They contained a great many official investigations and directives, reports on surveillance and control of the Uyghur population, statements by high-ranking communists, and lastly, 96 pages of a speech made by President Xi Jinping himself. In it, one can read the official orders he gave during his visit to Xinjiang 4 years earlier. These leaked documents, the Xinjiang Papers, confirmed the implementation of a vast concentration camp system, decided at the highest level of the communist hierarchy. In these top-secret documents, we learn that the Chinese president, while addressing regional authorities, compared religious extremism to a virus and to an evil drug, Xi Jinping stated that the fight against the scourge would require a long and painful treatment, and that the Chinese Communist Party would have to use all the tools of dictatorship to overcome it. Coming from the mouth of the Chinese president, it meant extreme actions were authorized. He even urged the local authorities to show absolutely no mercy. In Chinese leaders' minds, it's about treating evil with evil, a radical stance approved of by many Han intellectuals, like Shen Dingli, a university professor and government advisor.
如果这个恐怖主义是病毒，我们要去查出谁携带了病毒，然后把你隔离，不是杀掉你，是让你在这里边得到免费的治疗，让你快速的恢复健康。那么我们也不知道谁患了思想的病毒，那怎么办呢？让有可能的，我们让你到一定的地方接受一段时间的思想这个学习，然后呢，工作这个技术的一个获得。
To track down all those with this ideological virus, the party put the population of Xinjiang under surveillance. In China, the party has eyes and ears everywhere, in every district, neighborhood, factory, and building. But in Xinjiang, even more so than elsewhere, the dictatorship has deployed its most powerful tools. So-called smart cameras, facial recognition, biometrics, digital spying. Since the launch of the repression campaign in 2014, the population of this Chinese Far West has become the most monitored in the world.
One of the things the Chinese state talks about in terms of particularly its surveillance programming, but really this is the same thing about their re-education program, is they call it preventative policing. The idea that this person's not yet an extremist, they're not yet a terrorist, but we can see that they might become one, so we need to act now.
State surveillance in Xinjiang is pervasive, but maybe it's easier to think about it in sort of a three-dimensional, everyday sense. Imagine, for example, a QR code has been placed outside your front door so that authorities can stop by and scan that code to see who's registered to live there and then knock on the door and see if the right people are there, or maybe the wrong people are there.
Everyone is a suspect, everywhere, all the time. Pretexting the fight against terrorism, the party has criminalized all sorts of behavior. In Xinjiang, local leaders drew up a list of 75 signs of radicalization. Top of the list? Advocating the secession of Xinjiang and the creation of an Islamic state of East Turkestan. But other, much more mundane behaviors are seen as reprehensible. Suddenly stopping drinking or smoking, boycotting cultural or sporting events, or closing your restaurant during Ramadan. This list gives law enforcement a lot of room for interpretation. Despite the arsenal of surveillance in Xinjiang, there remained a blind spot to which the Communist Party had no access: families' private lives. So the party had an idea. Because Han Chinese and Uyghurs don't necessarily get along, they would need to be forced to get to know each other. Chinese leaders organized ethnic unity weeks. Once a month, Uyghur families get a visit from a Han Chinese person who stays with them for a few days. In videos shared on social media, everyone looks very happy. In reality, these fake Chinese friends are there to judge the family members' loyalty to the party.
It was very clear that it also was for surveillance purposes, you know, to see who was living in a home, who wasn't there, how religious were they, did the children speak Chinese or Uyghur? You know, all of this data gets recorded. I mean, can you imagine having officials from the ruling party in your country move into your house and sit at your dinner table and sleep in your bed with you uninvited? You know, particularly in a culture that is still reasonably conservative. So when the high-tech surveillance fails, don't worry, the party is there to make sure that they're keeping an eye on you, even in low-tech ways, too.
Since 2016, the Communist Party has sent more than 1 million Han into Xinjiang homes, homes with no remaining signs of Uyghur culture. This is the Communist Party's big project: erase the Uyghur identity to better replace it. Almost nothing remains of the old, majestic Silk Road city of Kashgar. In place of the ancient caravanserai, one finds motorways, buildings, and waste ground.
We estimate, and this is only an estimate, that around 1/3 of important Uyghur sacred sites, shrines, mosques, cemeteries had been destroyed in whole, and another 1/3 had been damaged in a significant way. It's an effort to re-engineer the Uyghur people, to transform them in the image of the Han majority.
Using satellite images, these Australian researchers also discovered that 100 cemeteries had been wiped off the map. The remains, taken from their traditional graves, now lie in anonymous brick tombs. The names of the deceased have been replaced by a number. There's nothing better to make a people amnesiac. In Aksu, the cemetery in which an illustrious Uyghur poet was buried was removed to make way for the City of Joy, an ambitious urban project.
Usually it's explained as some kind of development, they need to build something there, but often these places are replaced with simply a parking lot. And it seems to speak to really a much more pointed and intentional attempt to undermine the history, to eliminate the basis of Uyghur culture. And it's clearly not about terrorism, it's clearly not about religious extremism. It's clearly much deeper and much more of a broad spectrum attack on Uyghurness, or on non-Han culture generally.
These abuses against the Uyghur culture and population in Xinjiang are being characterized as cultural genocide by some researchers, a term with no legal basis, but which does make Chinese intentions crystal clear: to erase 11 million people, the equivalent of the population of Belgium or Cuba. Inside Xinjiang, no one is able to blow the whistle anymore. The Chinese authorities have made sure to silence everyone they see as their main enemies: intellectuals, university professors, poets, and musicians.
So die Umerziehung findet nicht nur in den Lagern statt, sie findet halt auch in Internaten, in Schulen, in Kindergärten, in Vorschulen statt. Vom kleinsten Alter an. Aufgrund von Dokumenten, die ich erlangen konnte, ist klar, dass also das Sprechen der uigurischen Sprache verboten ist, unter Strafauflagen. Und dass die Kinder also schon von früh an umerzogen werden, dass sie auch sogar ihre Eltern ausspionieren müssen. Und das ist also eine ganz dramatische Entwicklung, ganz, ganz dramatisch, weil hier ja langfristige Veränderungen geschaffen werden. Hier findet ein langfristiger Verlust von Kultur und Geistlichkeit statt, der mehr oder weniger unumkehrbar ist.
No Uyghur child can escape this, but the party isn't stopping there. Since 2018, children of prisoners are taken from their families and put in institutions where they're raised according to party doctrine. This video shows a young Uyghur proudly singing a patriotic Chinese song. This is Xi Jinping's dream. In 2021, the Chinese president gave his orders. We must plant in the heart of each child from the age of 6 love for the party, the country, and socialism. In Xinjiang, the new generation must consider itself, first and foremost, Chinese, and the sooner the better, because the leader doesn't want to waste any time. In the north of the region, Han have become the majority, and the capital, Urumqi, looks like any other Chinese city. But in the rural, traditional south, Uyghurs still make up more than 50% of the population. So in order to boost the number of Han Chinese, Chinese authorities must now meet specific demographic targets. In 5 years' time, the Uyghur population of the south must also become the minority. In order to achieve this, the party implements radical policies.
Es ist ein Planungsdokument für 2020. Diese Dokumente sind zwei der schockierendsten Dokumente, die ich jemals in meinem Leben gesehen habe. Sterilisiert werden soll oder muss also als Mubiao, als Ziel für das Jahr 2019 14.872. Wenn man das mal gegenrechnet, das sind ungefähr 34% der gebärfähigen Frauen in der ländlichen Region dieses Regierungsbezirks. Das Ziel der Geburtenverhinderung hier ist, dass man das Bevölkerungswachstum, was ja recht hoch war, dramatisch zurückschraubt auf gegen Null oder in Teilen sogar unter Null, damit nicht, dass die Bevölkerung ausgelöscht werden soll, sondern dass sie leicht zurückgeht, dass sie nicht mehr wächst, sondern vielleicht leicht zurückgeht und dass sie über die Zeit leichter zu kontrollieren ist und leichter zu assimilieren.
And yet, the nation needs children. The celestial empire is aging, and the renewal of generations is uncertain. Today, the one-child policy has been abolished throughout China, except in Xinjiang, where having more than one child can get you sent to prison. Beijing is innovative in its policies designed to reduce the Uyghur population. The party even promotes its good ideas on television. This scene took place in a tiny village in southern Xinjiang. The loudspeakers summon the inhabitants to the courtyard of the People's Hall. A textile company from eastern China has made a very long trip to recruit 100 workers here. Those interested need only write their names in a register. 2 days go by. No volunteers come forward. The team from the factory, all Han Chinese, go looking for applicants at their homes. Their target? Young, childless women. Buzainap, 19, has no desire to go, and her parents are also against it. The village chiefs insist, to no avail. Buzenap refuses.
自主职业，政府引导，我们不能干涉他的选择权，但是我们能影响他的判断。咱们的全国同胞都要一起发展，不能咱们，对吧？别的民族兄弟大踏步往前走了，他们还在原地循环。
Yaxşı işleyenlerin hatanısını açık tutuqluq. Özümüz tırışmasak, bundan netice herkes özlükünden kip kalmaydı. Capı tatmasa halavet yok.
After thinking it over for a few days, the young Uyghur woman agrees, and the factory leaves with its quota of workers. The report presents this outcome as a win for the party, in its bid to help minorities escape poverty and divert them from separatist thoughts. In fact, the main goal is to displace the population, particularly women, to provinces where they'll be more likely to start a family with a Han. This pernicious method will eventually reduce the Uyghur population in Xinjiang, as ordered by the government. What the report doesn't mention is that refusing a job is one of the 75 signs of radicalization. The truth is that Buzenap didn't really have a choice. This young woman is just one victim, along with tens of thousands of other Uyghurs, of a state-organized forced labor plan. The Uyghur diaspora have spread several videos on social media, showing groups of workers gathered outside the villages before being sent in convoys to factories all over China. In a report published in 2020, a group of Australian researchers estimated that at least 80,000 Uyghurs have thus been shipped out of Xinjiang.
In the Uyghurs for Sale report, we linked over 80 global multinational companies to supply chains that could contain Uyghur forced labor in them. Now, supply chains are very complicated. Some of these companies are like Nike, Apple, leading multinational companies that have very complicated supply chains. But if you trace them down the line, we found that some of their suppliers do participate in these labor transfer programs that include Uyghur workers.
In the camps, the prisoners are also made to work. They're used as labor in workshops built close to the detention centers.
Regierungsdokumente haben weiterhin gesagt und zugegeben, ganz offiziell, dass diese Form der Fabrikarbeit, die mit diesen Berufsbildungslagern zusammenhängt, dass dadurch eine Großzahl von Firmen aus Ostchina angezogen wurden und dass das mittlerweile wirtschaftlich für die ganze Wirtschaft in Xinjiang eine große Rolle spielt. Das heißt, wir haben hier ein System der Ausbeutung, wo man vielleicht sogar davon ausgehen kann, dass dieser teure Sicherheitsapparat durch die Zwangsarbeit mitfinanziert wird.
Forced labor, sterilization, arbitrary detention, destruction of heritage, Orwellian surveillance. As ordered by Xi Jinping, the party is using all the tools of dictatorship to mercilessly eliminate all those who resist it.
Give me answer! Fascist China! Terrorist China! Give me answer! Fascist China! Come to here! Become a concentration camp! Like 90 of my family members! Give me answer! Where are they? Are they alive? Died of concentration camp! Give me answer! Fascist China! Terrorist China!
Once a week, Abdurrahim Gheni yells with rage beneath the windows of Chinese diplomats in The Hague.
Bu mening dadam, opam, cho'ng akam, ikkinchi akam, bu mening inem, bu mening ayolim akasi.
19 members of his family disappeared during Chen Chuangguo's roundups. For months, Geni kept silent. He didn't dare protest for fear his family would face retaliation. Then one day, he realized that Beijing was relying on his silence and that of the Uyghur diaspora.
Men 2017-yil 11-23 kuni chiqqandan keyin lagerdan ota-onamning yanida bir hafta davolandim. Ya'ni mening bunday quwwatim yo'q. Otam ashuna naqshlik istamaydigan, haqimdan chiqib turgan odam. Ayni vaqtda buni deyishgan. Meshaning Mirram beshini qilib turib xo'shashgan vaqtimizda biz Alloh bilan xo'shashib bo'lgan. Buni topshirib o'tgan. Biz amin o'lib ketamiz bolam. Sen naqshni yetkazganda. Shuning men bu maydan qaytmaydiganligini biladi. Shuning bilan men bu Amerikaniki IPP'ning ziyoratini qabul qilgandan boshlab bir-birlab tutishga boshladi. Atam qo'lga vaqtda 2018-yil 24-kuni sening balangniki bu ishlarni to'slash uchun sen cho'qim bizga bir video ishlashi kerak. Shuni majburlangan, qamgandan keyin o'ldirib tashlangan.
In 2020, several groups of exiled Uyghurs filed a complaint for crimes against humanity and genocide at the International Criminal Court in The Hague. Xi Jinping could personally be indicted. To date, however, Beijing has not reacted. China doesn't recognize this independent court's authority and continues its unscrupulous, systematic persecution of the Uyghur population.
Ich selbst war der zum ersten Mal gesagt hat, dass die Situation in Xinjiang die größte Masseninternierung einer ethno-religiösen Minderheit seit dem Zweiten Weltkrieg, also seit dem Holocaust, darstellt. Gleichzeitig ist es aber auch ganz wichtig natürlich, dass man abgrenzt, dass man sagt, es sind keine Massenvernichtungslager, es sind keine Tötungslager im Sinne der Gaskammern, im Sinne von Auschwitz. Dennoch denke ich, dass dieser Vergleich angemessen ist in Bezug auf das Ausmaß und die ausgefeilte Methodik, mit der dieses Menschenrechtsverbrechen durchgeführt wird.
The power struggle between human rights defending countries and allies of Xi Jinping is escalating. In the autumn of 2020, 39 Western countries condemned the repression of Uyghurs in Xinjiang and demanded that China allow international observers to visit. In retaliation, 45 countries friendly to China got behind Beijing, among them many Muslim countries, historical partners with China, like Pakistan, where China is financing major infrastructure for the development of the Belt and Road Initiative. More recently, in the spring of 2021, the European Union, the United Kingdom and Canada imposed sanctions on 4 high-ranking officials in Xinjiang, accused of grave offences against human rights, and a major China-EU investment agreement has been frozen. All over the world, Chinese diplomats are showing their claws due to these sanctions. Their spokesperson in Beijing was even more threatening.
外国列强架起几门大炮就能打开中国大门的时代已经一去不复返了。几个所谓的学者和媒体同官方勾结，就能肆无忌惮地抹黑攻击中国而不受任何惩罚的日子，奉劝他们不要低估中国人民捍卫国家利益与民族尊严的坚定意志。来而不往非礼也，他们终将为他们的愚蠢和傲慢付出代价。
La Chine a besoin de durcir le ton en permanence et d'adopter des comportements plus agressifs, dirait-on, plus offensifs, ce serait un terme plus correct, sur le plan international. Et c'est ce qui fait que vous avez une rupture assumée et promue par la Chine qui consiste à dire les droits humains, la démocratie et l'état de droit ne sont pas des concepts chinois, nous les récusons. Et donc cette agressivité contre les droits humains et contre les Nations Unies font de la Chine un partenaire aujourd'hui en rupture. Mais pour moi, les choses sont claires, c'est la Chine qui s'est mise en rupture.
Today, China is the main trading partner of 130 countries, including 10 in the EU. Economically inescapable, China seems to enjoy a solid impunity. Despite the timid reactions of a few major democratic countries, the international community is maintaining a complicit silence. The persecutor of Uyghurs seems to have a bright future.